Welcome back to Discern. Again, I am Ross back with you, and I am joined all this week by my friend Kirby Anderson. Welcome back to the show, Kirby.
Good to be with you again. We're going to get into some pretty interesting topics this week.
Yes, we are going to cover Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain and a lot of terms that may make some people, including myself, go, okay, I've heard this stuff. I've seriously, Kirby, I've had Bitcoin explained probably 20 times to me. I still don't fully get it. So I'm really hoping that you can help unpack these things. And so that's going to be a series we're doing here to really just understand these terms. And why do we care? We care because these are things that people are talking about. They're in the news. They're things you can invest in. They're things that you can be involved in. And it's always important when that's happening for us to look at things from a biblical perspective. As believers, should we care about these things? Why should we care? And we need to understand what's going on around us. So, Kirby, let's just start with Bitcoin. That's the term that people have heard the longest. It was the thing that seemed to start it all. What is Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer digital currency, and some people have called it digital gold and a variety of other things. But if you think about the way in which you interact with your bank every day, you put money in the bank, and then if you go online, you'll see some indications that you have so much money in the bank. Now, do you actually have that money there? No, because they've been lending it out. But bottom line is that is a digital ledger or record. We'll talk about maybe tomorrow this idea of a blockchain. But what it is actually on cyberspace, a ledger that says this much information, which in this case could be Bitcoin or a variety of other cryptocurrencies, actually exist on your particular account.
So one of the things that I've seen about Bitcoin since its beginning is it seems volatile. You can track its price, you can see the value of it over time, and all along people have used this term fiat currency, which is a term that people don't typically throw around, but it has felt like Bitcoin is very different than, say, the American dollar, which I had assumed, that must mean the American dollar is still based on fiat currency. So it's more stable. Wait, no, actually, that's not true. So can you break down this concept of fiat currency and how Bitcoin and the American dollar relate?
And I think that's a good point because that's where it developed. We had a big crisis, many of our listeners and viewers would remember, in 2008. And in 2009, this was developed. Bitcoin was first developed, and there have been other cryptocurrencies since then, but it was developed as an alternative to fiat currency. Now, what do we mean by fiat? We mean that it isn't necessarily tied to anything. We used to have the idea that all dollars were as good as gold. But eventually, we moved away from the gold standard. Matter of fact, we're right now at the 50th anniversary of the decision that was made by then President Richard Nixon to close the gold standard and no longer tie dollars to gold. And so once you no longer had to have a one-to-one relationship between dollars and the amount of gold that you had and the price, it allowed for the increasing amount of producing, if you will, other kinds of dollars. So fiat currency today is something we saw where the value of the dollar decreases every single day. And that's one of the things that I think is the greatest concern that most people are expressing, Ross, now in the 21st century, because we saw a massive increase in the amount of dollars that were produced in 2008 because of that particular crisis. But if you thought that was a massive production of dollars, we've seen even more in 2020 and 2021. Almost 30% of all the dollars that exist in the world today were produced within the last year. And so that leads to a topic that I think almost everybody can relate to, and that's called inflation. That's too many dollars chasing the same number of goods. And so one of the reasons Bitcoin was developed in part was to begin to find ways that you could communicate to other individuals and send money to individuals without having to go through a bank. But also, since Bitcoin, by its definition, actually only has 21 million coins, you aren't going to produce any more. So it's if you will, a completely intact form of money, whereas every other kind of money has been inflated.
Well, that's really helpful. I understand it better than I ever have. I appreciate it very much, Kirby. We're going to get into more of these concepts. We're going to get into blockchain on the next episode. So look forward to that conversation. We'll see everybody right back here next time on Discern.